What's going on, guys? This is Mike with the 1% Mindset Podcast. First, I hope everyone is doing well. I got my guy Garrison here with me. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Trying to stay above float during this pandemic crisis, but it is what it is. So trying to keep myself occupied in the crib.
Oh, sweet, sweet. I love it, brother. So I kind of want, you have a very unique story. So, you know, instead of me introducing you or introducing it, I kind of want you to kind of go through like your story, your early years up until like where you are now.
Okay, no doubt. So I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Growing up, I had a childhood just like everybody else where, I played sports, went to school, had to be in the house by 8 o'clock. You know, that's how it is growing up in Brooklyn. I was standout football player. I played running back for James Madison High School. And going into my senior year on a summer night, I got shot in my back, which left me paralyzed from the waist down. I was 17 years old. I still managed to, overcome that injury. I was in rehab for 11 months. After I got out of rehab, I graduated high school, all of that. And then after I got out of rehab, I had to like find what was my next move. And I chose to go to college. Went to college. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in finance. However, while I was in college, I kind of like adjusted to society. That's when I really got like comfortable with being uncomfortable, because my whole life I was running, playing sports. My dream was to be in the NFL, buy my mother a big house. And when that catastrophic injury occurred, it just shattered my dreams. But my parents never let me get depressed or let me get down on myself. They always told me, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like sometimes when things happen, it happens for a reason. You just can't see the reason, but things start to manifest itself on its own. So I went to college, and the first day of school, it was like I was accepted. Everybody was welcoming to me. And I was like the man. Like I felt like, it was just a self-esteem and confidence booster. So from there, after I graduated, I felt like I could just take over the world. I did this. I went through school with no problems, none of that. And I started working for the IRS. I worked there for like 6 years. But while I was there, I just like had an epiphany one day. I was like, yo, I'm too cool for this. This doesn't fit me. I'm sitting behind a desk. That's just not my style. I need to be out giving off some of my good qualities to the world. So I started working out in the gym just as a stress reliever and just to give me a hobby or something to do. And I was actually pretty strong, and this guy noticed me. And it's funny because he just randomly came up to me and was like, yo, I'm a coach of a wheelchair football team. You want to play wheelchair football? And I'm like, nah, that don't even make sense. If I fall and stuff, like, how does that work? It's not a professional sport. Because I pretty much like gave up my aspirations of playing any type of sports after I got injured. So you're like, yo, come out, trust me, you might like it. If anything, I'm gonna connect you with a few people. So he connected me with the president of this organization called the Wheelchair Sports Federation. And the guy was like, named John Hammer, he was like, yo, you could be a Paralympic athlete one day. I could see it in you. So I'm like, for real? Like, he's like, nah, for real, for real. I'm like, all right. So like, what sport? Because I don't want to play a team sport, because if somebody misses a shot playing basketball, I'm going to get mad and stuff like that. So I was like, I don't want to play that. So he's like, nah, there's millions of sports out there. There's tons of sports. We just got to find the right one for you. He's like, yo, we're going to try you out in track and field. I'm going to hook you up with a personal coach, and we're going to go from there. So I'm like, all right. So he hooked me up with this coach at the Washington Heights Armory. Mm. And I was going up there like twice a week to do field sports, which is javelin, discus, and shot put. But I'm going up there. I drive. However, I would take the train up there just because to commute around New York City, sometimes it's a lot easier just to take the train than from Brooklyn to Washington Heights than to actually drive. So I was going up there. He wasn't showing up. So I was like, I wasn't discouraged. I was getting a little angry. So I'm like, I hit the guy, John, back like, yo, why would you hook me up with somebody that's not going to be dedicated into this? Like, how I'm going to get into this? He's like, all right, don't worry about that. I'm going to put you on the best junior track team in the country. It's the New Jersey Navigators. You just got to get there. Boom. So I was like, I bet that's not no problem. It's in Bayonne, New Jersey. That's about like 40 minutes from where I live. So it was a short commute, just an easy drive right over the Verrazano Bridge for the most part. So I go out there, I meet the coach of there. It's two coaches, Jimmy Cuevas and this guy and Matt. So they like, yo, let's get you going. So they hooked me up with gear, like Nike gear and all of this with my name on it. I'm like, oh, this is all right now. Now that's what I'm talking about. So I'm doing like wheelchair track racing, and then it's like 2.5 years ago. And then the guy Matt was like, yo, how much do you weigh? I'm like, yo, I don't really weigh. Like, I go to the doctor's office or whatever. They don't have no scale for me to weigh myself on. So I don't know how much I weigh, but I think I weigh like 140. He like, I bet we're gonna enter you in a powerlifting meet and see how you do there. So he entered me in a powerlifting meet. I ended up weighing like 120, and I was able to lift like 250 pounds with no training. So from there, the Team USA performance manager called me and was like, yo, you need to start vying for a spot on Team USA Para Powerlifting. So boom. And then they flew me out to Colorado Springs where the Olympic training facility was. I did a camp out there, and I weighed a little more for that camp because it was like a 2-month span. And I weighed like probably like 128, but I was able to lift like 270 pounds. And then from there it was like history. They invited me to a competition, a national qualifier to go to Kazakhstan. That's when I first qualified for the team. That was about a 1.5 years ago. And then in the midst of that, I started like modeling. I got into modeling. One of my friends, I was doing a photo shoot for my godfather. He had started up a local clothing line. And my boy was like, yo, he had a vision. He had this streetwear brand name called MILF Dad. And he like, yo, this thing gonna go global. Like, that's all he was into. That's what he invested like a lot of his money into. My boy Ben, he's like, yo, you could be a model, bro. And this at the time, he was just helping out his co-founder, which is Justin, as a photographer. So they like, yeah, we got this vision. We're gonna start this clothing line up. Yo, I want you to do a photo shoot for me. So I'm like, I bet. I do the photo shoot. They design like some custom wheelchair for me and all of that. And they like, yo, this gonna go viral. And I'm like, I bet. And it did go viral. And then he's like, yo, you a model now. So now we got to get you in runways and stuff like that. So I'm like, I'm all for it. So he gets me in this runway. And then I met this lady named Connie. And she like, yo, let's have a meeting at Starbucks one day. Let's just talk about some things. So I'm like, all right, I'm all for it. And then I go to the meeting at Starbucks. She like, yo, you like your job? I'm like, nah, I don't like my job. I just was saying to myself, like, while I'm here, like, I could be doing so much more impact in the world, because at this point now, like, kids is reaching out to me, just asking me about, like, my day-to-day routine, especially kids with disabilities, because they don't have, like, too much people to aspire to. So, like, I'm like, all right. So I'm just, giving them information that's just valuable so that way they could be better themselves. And that was like my whole thing. I just wanted people to better themselves. Like, don't feel sorry about yourself. Don't feel depressed. Whatever happens to you in life or however you was born, just take it with a grain of salt and keep it pushing. Mm-hmm. So she's like, yo, you ever thought about doing like a TED Talk? And I'm like, nah, I never even heard of a TED Talk. So she like, look it up. So, and then she's like, yo, like, why you don't start an organization or something like that where you could just give back to the community? You can make a couple of, you can make an income for yourself, but most of all, you get to give back, which is the most important thing. So I'm like, that sounds like a good idea. So that day I went home, I looked up TED Talks, and I looked up how to start a not-for-profit organization. So I just started getting the ball rolling. So I saw so many different TED Talks. I'm like, all right, I could do this. So I applied to TEDx Deer Park. That wasn't too far from me. It was in Long Island. It was a short drive. So I'm like, if they select me, then it is what it is. So I remember taking a video like on an iPhone like 5, and the quality was terrible, but that's all I had. So I had to make it happen. So took it. I get a message like 2 months later. They're like, you've been selected to do a TEDx talk in Deer Park, New York or whatever. So I'm like, oh, wow. This is the real deal now. Like, what I'm going to do here. So I'm like, all right. See, the thing is in life, like you could have anxiety, you could be anxious, you could be nervous about different things, but if you've never done it before, then you gotta take it like it's something that you're able to do. Like you've never done it before, so who says you can't do it? So I do the TEDx talk. This is my first time public speaking in front of a large crowd. I never talked in front of any, like maybe a small crowd, like once, like a small crowd of school students that was like 10 years old, but it wasn't like on that magnitude. So I'm like, all right, I do the talk, I ace the talk, and then I'm like, oh, now I'm a speaker now, like I'm really a speaker. So from there, that's when a lot of other opportunities started coming into my path. So I do like an Apple Watch commercial. I remember I did that. And then I was in a McDonald's commercial. I started filming myself doing workout clips, like pull-ups, chin-ups, just different workout movements and things like that, just to give people some motivation just to go to the gym, because the key to life is to stay healthy. And the best way to stay healthy is by staying active, since the body was meant to move. So I started doing the workout clips and stuff like that. And then like McDonald's bought one of my workout clips, like 2 seconds of it, for like $20,000, like something crazy. And I'm like, that's only because I kept giving 110% to everything that I did. Like anything that I do now is I give it my all, because you never know who's watching. We live in a social media age where anybody could be watching, anybody could tap into your social media profile just to see what you're doing. So if you give it your all, you never know what can happen from there. And then over this past summer, I did a Google campaign where I was I was one of the featured principals in the campaign, showcasing how to work the Google Nest device. So, but all of that came, I believe, through me manifesting it for myself. I was just supposed to go to World Championships about 3 weeks ago, but it was canceled due to this coronavirus outbreak. But you know, I just said, you know what? I just resurface, I just chill for a second, and I just get back to work. So that's how I am. I really don't get discouraged about anything, because I know that in life, obstacles are meant to be put in your path so you can overcome them. And then once you triumph through that, everything is good.
Nice, man. First of all, amazing story. You basically did the work for me and really articulated your story eloquently. So I kind of want to go back, right? Like, because you glossed over it. You've had a lot of success, right? And you have this great persona about you, always uplifting, always upbeat. You don't get discouraged too much. But let's kind of go back to the time where when you said you had that summer night where you got shot in the back, when that first happened, what was your mindset then? And I don't mean like at that very moment, but like throughout those upcoming, the days, the weeks, the months after that happened, understanding that your goal at the time was to be, an NFL player, and you had all these aspirations. Like, what was your mindset before you kind of switched it up? How were you feeling then?
Well, I have a great support system. My parents was amazing through the whole ordeal. So in the beginning, early on, I remember being like down for first 3 or 4 days after the accident happened or whatever. But my mom's came to me and was like, yo, nobody's gonna have sympathy for you. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. So you just gotta get over it right now. Like, you don't have no time to debate what you're gonna do now. You know what you gotta do. You just gotta keep moving up. You're not gonna fall no lower. And then I remember one of like my great uncles coming in to visit me, and he basically said a few words that just like changed my whole perspective on my injury. He was like, a lot of people never experience near death or anything of that nature. So now you got an advantage over people because you never have to worry about that again. And then I thought about it like that. And then the doctor came to me and she was like, I know you wanted to be, a standout football player. You want to go to the NFL, but now you could think about being a coach. She's like, there's 52 players on a team, but there's only one head coach. So, and the head coach is the one they point the finger at whether the team wins or loses. So then I thought about it from that perspective, like, I could be a leader, you know. All the athletes got to follow what the coach say at the end of the day. So whether or not, you know, the coach set the time you got to be at practice, the coach set the time you could leave practice, but at the end of the day, the coach is the one that's doing it to benefit everybody else. So I thought like that, and those like few moments, those key instances in early on in my injury helped guide and molded and gave me the foundation on where I needed to go to, you know, make it to the next level and just to overcome this injury and to triumph through it. Because at the end of the day, you know, when something bad can happen to you, something great can happen to you as well. So if you think about it from that aspect, now you're just chasing something great and you're chasing greatness all your life. So I mean, that's how it was for me.
No, absolutely. Do you think football had anything or helped with that mindset? Because I think about, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a gentleman by the name of Inky Johnson, right? He was also a,
Yeah,
yeah, a football player. He had a tragic accident, and his whole, I believe it's his left side, if I'm not mistaken, of
yeah,
his
it's
arm is
paralyzed. Yeah,
right? And it seemed like his shift came pretty quickly as well, right? A lot of people, and you've met a ton of people, I'm sure, they use their disability or whatever situation as a hindrance, as a crutch, and they don't dream or they don't aspire. They think that's all they can be, right? And this, people deal with this for weeks, months, and years at times, right? It seems like within a couple days, you were just boom, right back at it. Do you think football played a part with that, or like, what do you
yeah,
think really helped with that?
yeah. I think growing up from an athletic background does play a role in it because it changes like your mindset. Typically, I feel like if you're an athlete, you have to have a stronger mindset because you deal with disappointment quite frequently due to losses, due to expectations you may have for yourself that you are unable to fulfill. So I do think that that plays a major role into overcoming an injury if you was previously an athlete. But also, I just think it's a more or less your support system, who's around you. If people are gonna let you get down, then you're gonna be down. If people's not gonna let you get down, then you're gonna have a whole different mentality. And it also comes, and then another thing is, like my parents never showed like disappointment or sadness around me. I mean, I'm sure they had it. I'm sure it was rough, just as rough for them as it was for me. But they never showed it to me. So being that they never showed it to me, I felt that I was still the same, and that was just, you know, a major key to feel as if you're still the same. And then, luckily for me, I have a great personality, so people gravitated towards me. So like when I went to school, that was like the first time me being in a social arena on an everyday basis, using a wheelchair, coming out every day using a wheelchair, and people were just accepting of it, and that was the cool thing. Like, you know, everything was the same for me. Like going to college, my friends used to really like hit me up, like, "Yo, we need you to come with us to this party. There's these girls there. You the only one that could get them." So I'm like, "I bet we out. Let's do it." And that like plays a major role. Like people still feeling the same, but people don't give themselves the opportunity to feel the same or to overcome their disability, overcome their injury because they get stuck in a mindset due to their support system not being strong, where they feel like they're disabled and they're unable to do certain things that in actuality they could do whatever they want. We live in a time and age where everybody got some type of disability or some type of ailment, whether it's mental or physical. So nobody's the same at the end of the day. So I mean, you just got to keep pushing. You just got to keep thinking positive, and that's the key.
What do you think your biggest adjustment was or has been from obviously where you were to where you are now? What was the biggest adjustment?
I think like right now, in life, I'm a lot more mature. Um, when I first was injured, I didn't really like care about helping other people. I just cared about myself,
Mhm.
which is not being selfish. It was just that I thought of it as, you know, I'm just gonna better myself and that's it. Like I never right now, like what I'm doing now, I never thought up until like 3 years ago I could ever do. Like I wasn't I wasn't a potential Paralympic athlete 3 years ago. I didn't even play any sports. So it was like everything I manifested and I just thought about, I dreamed about, started coming true one after another. So I think the best thing is once you find like your passion, you got to go after it every day. And me making a decision to leave the IRS to chase my passion in order to make the world a better place was a great decision for me, because that's opened the doors and gave me opportunities that I would never fathom if I would have still been behind a desk at the IRS. So I think it was I became more mature and I became just a better person overall, and a more of a giving person. I wanted to give back everything I learned, everything that, all my good qualities, and anything to just make other people feel motivated and feel better about themselves. And that's what I think a lot of people don't get an opportunity to do, because they just stuck to worrying about working their 9 to 5 and just making a dollar. But there's so much other things they can do to make the world a better place. And, you know, you don't have to worry about money when you're doing something that you like.
Excellent. So talk to me a little bit about this non-for-profit that you have now. And I know you briefly spoke about that with the meeting in Starbucks, but whether it's the name of it, who are you pouring into with that non-for-profit? Like, kind of talk a little bit about that.
So I started the Garrison Redd Project. The Garrison Redd Project, I created this organization to help children with disabilities attain the necessary adaptive equipment in order for them to achieve success. So what a lot of people don't know is that, like, wheelchair is not a restriction. Society creates restrictions on wheelchair users. So, like, to have a wheelchair that's light, made out of titanium, can cost you $10,000 or more. The reason being is because the material is titanium, which is super light, but it increases your independence tremendously. People just look at certain wheelchairs and say, oh, it's just a wheelchair, but that wheelchair means a lot to a person, because that's their legs. And so in my particular case, my wheelchair is light. I'm able to drive because I'm able to take it apart, and then I could just place it in my vehicle, totally independent. I don't need anyone to assist me with doing so. However, if you don't have like decent insurance, wheelchair insurance providers will not provide you with that piece of equipment. So a standard wheelchair could weigh like 100 pounds. And if it weighs that much, a person, you could just only imagine, a person only weighs about 140 pounds. It can be quite cumbersome and difficult for them to be independent, because they can't do certain things that an individual with a custom manual wheelchair can do. And then I also started to give children an opportunity to participate in adaptive sports as well, such as like adaptive yoga, adaptive rock climbing. We have basketball tournaments and things of that nature, just in an effort to give other individuals the opportunity to be physically active. Mm-hmm. And then I had a dual purpose of making it inclusive. So where able-bodied individuals can come out and participate alongside disabled individuals, so they could get an idea of the capabilities of individuals with disabilities, because a lot of people don't understand that the unemployment rate is very high in the disabled community, which is over 70%.
Oh, wow.
So, which means that, and it's, a lot of times it's all due to a preconceived perception that individuals with disabilities are unable to do certain tasks, which is totally not the case. Like in my case, I could complete any particular job or job duty as long as it's accessible, as long as the desk, I'm able to roll under it. I don't even need a reasonable accommodation like like what people may think. So with that said, I created the Garrison Redd Project just to raise awareness and inclusivity. So now you're in a setting with disabled peers and you can ask some questions. That's how most people learn. Most people learn things through social settings. You can learn more through a social setting than you will ever learn in college, just because you just able to be yourself. You're able to be authentic with each other. So with that said, I said, you know what, there was a real need to create an organization just to, raise awareness. Because like another thing with me, I'm very sociable. So I like going out to lounges. I like going out to bars like everyone else. And people are comfortable asking me questions, but there's not enough of me's in the world. So if there's other individuals out there that start feeling comfortable to go to social settings, go to concerts, and just be around amongst people, then I feel like the unemployment rate would drop drastically in the disabled community. So that was the main purpose of me starting the Garrison Redd Project.
Okay, no, I love it. So first of all, that's an amazing initiative. So I just want to salute you for that. Definitely. So something brand new that I found out that she spoke about was this McDonald's clip. McDonald's saw you, I guess, doing your workout, and they bought a 2-second clip for $20K. How did that come about? People are on IG all the time flexing, son, and they bought $20,000. They paid what you said, 20 grand for a 2-second clip. How did that happen?
Somebody reached out to me from a casting agency. They was like, yo, I was doing pull-ups, and I think I said a few motivational words, but McDonald's was doing its Black and Positively Golden campaign. I think it aired originally probably like last April. And it was like, yo, we'll be interested in purchasing a clip from you of you doing one of your workouts. And then they gave me a list of a few clips that they wanted. I was like, sure, you can have anyone you want. How much y'all paying me, And they're like, yeah, we'll pay you. Every time it gets aired, you get royalties. So like, I remember like the first week after I sold it to them, it was like 4 checks of $1,000 each or something like that. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. But I thought that was it. Like, I thought that was it. They tell you who bought it. So they'd be like, this news network bought it, or these people bought it, whatever the case is. But it tells you on the check who actually purchased it. Then my mom's friend, this was like a week after that, was like, yo, I was at the Essence Music Festival, and I saw a clip of your son. Then like 2 days later, I look in the mail, it's another $2,000 check. I'm like, oh. So it's like, oh, you just never know like what you're doing, who's gonna see it. Like, it's because with the social media age, and this wasn't even a clip that I like really like put thought into. It just something I did. Like, I just do these things all the time. So it's not like I did it to be on McDonald's, or I'm like, I did it for someone to buy. I did it for someone to feel better. So if someone seen it, they were gonna feel better. And that's another thing, like God work in mysterious ways, because like you do something and for like just the love of your heart, just to make someone else feel better, and only care about if one person sees it. You never know where that clip or where that video could take you. Like even this podcast, one person hear it, they might say, this need to be on Ellen DeGeneres. We need to bring them two on here or something. You just never know in this digital age. So that's when I realized like it's very important on like putting content out and putting content that's meaningful out. I mean, you could just put something out and then, it means nothing and nobody cares about it. But you should, if you put a little bit of effort into it, and if you do it being yourself, you never know where that could take you.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, by the way. So when you were first telling that story, you're like, yeah, McDonald's bought a 2-second clip, made 20 grand. I was like, what? So I was like, hey, I gotta make sure I ask this man about that. But no, that's absolutely amazing, man. So that kind of started, the casting agency. I know you said you modeled a little bit for your boy's clothing company. And it went viral. Where did that kind of take you? I guess once you did that lead to other agents, like what's kind of getting with that?
I mean, from there, I did quite a few runway shows. I modeled for like Fashion Week Brooklyn. Then I got connected with the Runway of Dreams, where they typically open up New York Fashion Week with the adaptive fashion show where it'd be individual with disabilities, but it'd be tons of clothing lines like Tommy Hilfiger, Zappos, tons of major companies and corporations. And then when I got connected with them, the cool thing is like, due to the fact that I'm like an advocate for disabled rights, it was a cool like partnership. So I helped them out as well. So I then met with like Joseph Abad and individuals like that to speak about how they can make clothing more accessible for individuals with disabilities. Like, for instance, people don't realize, but like it's hard for certain individuals with the lack of dexterity in their fingers to button a shirt. So if you just put a magnet in place of a button, now anyone could wear that shirt, not just the individual with disabilities, an able-bodied individual. And a lot of times these things are concealable, and it's universal design. So people don't typically see it, and it looks super cool. So I started doing stuff like that as well. And then I did so many different runway shows and photo shoots at this point. I can't name all of them, but I did model for like brands like Kid Super. That's a pretty dope streetwear line. But yeah, so now I do a lot of also, advocacy for fashion design, so that way individuals can have more options of what to wear. Because another thing I like to mention is that clothing is a key to independence as well, and it's a key to making an individual feel independent. Also, it boosts their self-esteem. Most individuals want to wear, decent clothes, and they want to be able to dress themselves. You don't really want to, and just for privacy reasons, you don't want someone else dressing you all the time if you don't have to. So you can make like different like hooks and different mechanisms to make it easier for an individual to get dressed. Then it makes the world a better place. It make that individual feel better about themselves. And like now you see different brands such as even like Nike, they got adaptive shoes where instead of zippers, instead of laces, it's zippers and things of that nature, or Velcro. And it makes it accessible for everybody, even like, because at some point in life, everybody has a possibility of becoming disabled due to old age, or any onset of an illness and things of that nature. So you still want to look cool, you still want to look fly, and you still want to be, yourself. So that's why I started, doing more advocacy work within the fashion industry.
Okay. And the last thing I want to touch on is what you spoke about, which was the Google campaign. So you said you did a Google campaign. Did you say they flew you out somewhere to do that, or was that in New York?
No. Well, Team USA flew me out to Colorado Springs, and I went to the Olympic training facility when I trained out there for a little.
So actually, before we get to the Google campaign, let's actually talk about that, because I completely missed that. Well, I didn't miss it. I missed bringing that up, but. So I think, first of all, that's a big deal, right? The fact that, you randomly got on the bench and benched 270 or whatever that was, considering I'm still trying to break 200 now. And now you're an Olympian, right?
Yeah.
So you spoke a little bit about that journey, and you said you had another meet. You actually, if I'm not mistaken, you actually won a powerlifting competition, right?
Yeah, so in para powerlifting, I'm currently ranked #1 in the nation in my weight class. And regular able body, so para powerlifting, we bench with our feet up. In regular powerlifting, typically your feet are down on the bench and the bench press movement. And I was finished 2019 #2 in the world in regular powerlifting. That's
wow.
able body individuals as well. So yeah, now I'm benching like 300. Typically, I weigh in at like around 120, and I can lift over 300, 305, somewhere in that range. Actually, I was going to see how much I could lift this past March when I was going to World Championships, but unfortunately that got canceled. However, yeah, it's been a cool journey, but things move fast. Like that's another thing. You have to have the discipline, because through everything that I'm doing, I have to stay on top of my training schedule as well. So I strength train 3 times out the week. One day is a heavy day of benching. The next, because I only do the bench press movement. Then the next day is a speed day of benching. And the next day is a light day of benching. And between then, I do have to try to get as much rest as possible. I try to sleep at least 9 to 10 hours a day, just for recovery purposes. But yeah, it's been a fast journey, but it's been good. It's been a ride. So it's like, one day you could wake up. You never know what potential you have until you really like go for it and just push yourself to the limit. And that's one of the other things. So that's why I said you always got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And me just being active in a gym kept me ready for when that opportunity came to showcase my talent.
So you work out 3 times a week right now.
I work out like 7 times a week. I do on the off days. I work on cardio and stuff like that. But typically 3 times out the week, I'm doing strength training
Oh,
specific.
3 times. Okay, and then the other days you're doing cardio.
Yeah,
No
cardio.
no days off.
No days off with this. You know, you gotta if you want to do your body got to rest muscle.
No, it does. You're right. You're right.
There's
You're
no
right.
rest muscle, so I never heard of the rest muscle. So
You're
it is
right.
what it is.
You're right. Okay, no, that's definitely dope. So ranked number one and in your weight class. You said 2 overall between both. I
Yeah.
guess overall, right?
Well,
So
two second in the world in regular powerlifting.
in regular, that's first of all, that's amazing.
I'm
So
number
does
one in my weight class across in this nation across the board.
so what is that? So I'm guessing with that it comes with like sponsorships. Like, so what do you kind of work outside of that? Like, what are you working on now? So you're not doing the IRS thing. So obviously you're you're powerlifting, you're modeling. Is there 2020? Obviously, Corona has set a few things back. But
Yeah,
what's
that's been the issue.
yeah, it's definitely hurt some people. The
Yeah.
majority of the world. What's some of the things you want to accomplish in 2020? Like what's on your radar?
Well, prior to this, I was going to do a lot of public speaking. I was about to go on like a speaking tour of talking to different, going to different schools to speak about overcoming adversity. However, since that's a little bit on standstill right now I'm actually working on a book. So I
Mm.
want the book to be out hopefully by this fall. So that's what I've been mainly focusing on for now, and just putting out more digital content, connecting with more individuals. That way, once the world gets back on track, I could just take off. So hopefully, see, the thing is, I want to do a few events. I don't know what's going on with this pandemic because it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. But I'm going to think optimistically. Hopefully, it could be over with in like the next 2 months. But I would like to host a few events. I have some things in mind, some adaptive gaming events because not everybody's physically able to work out, but a lot of individuals are able to play video games and things of that nature. So I think that would be very cool. And then, yeah, I'm going to work on getting some more sponsors. I want to get signed to like a big label, a big brand such as like Nike or Adidas or something along those lines, because I feel they do need an athlete like myself on their team. So that's some of my goals. I just want the world to get back on track. So most importantly, I want everybody to be healthy first. So before I can do anything, everybody has to be healthy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know obviously you were a star football player in high school. I know you played a lot of ball too because we had
Yeah.
some battles and you used to kill me back in junior high. Um, Obviously NBA. So just to shift before we end, obviously NBA is on a little pause. If it didn't, the playoffs probably would have started in like another week or two. Who do you, if it does come back, who do you have winning the championship?
If it does come back, I mean, I can't go against my man LeBron. And I'm not even a LeBron fan, but he's just the GOAT. I can't go against the GOAT. It's like you don't bet against Tom Brady, you don't bet against LeBron. So I think the Lakers, I mean, I like the Clippers. The Clippers is a pretty strong team right now. They pretty stacked. And I think they even just signed Joakim Noah to come off the bench. So that makes them a pretty forceful team to reckon with, but you don't go against LeBron.
Got it. My man, first of all, I appreciate it, man. You've definitely educated and inspired so many people. So I want to thank you for that. Definitely good luck for the rest of 2020 and with all your endeavors, all your projects that you have going on. You have a lot of stuff happening, and we definitely are looking forward to that book in
Yeah,
20 by the end of 2020, man.
yeah, it's gonna be out.
So I absolutely love it. Any last words, and then also give them where to find you as well.
Yeah, so check me out. You could visit my organization. It's the Garrison Redd Project.org. It's a 501c3 not-for-profit. So you do get a tax write-off for if you decide to donate or anything of that nature. Also, you can look me up on Instagram, Garrison Redd, Facebook, Garrison Redd. You could Google search me. It's under Garrison Redd. Tons of articles will come up if you want to learn more about me. And yeah, don't feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'm not one of those people that, you know, ignore messages. I try to reply to every message that I get. I take pride in that. So just reach out to me and, you know, keep striving towards greatness. Don't let anything stop you, and just stay humble and stay working.
My brother, I appreciate it, man. All love to you.
All right, bro. Thanks for having me.
Definitely.